What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Flow State with yours truly, Harry Mack. In this episode, we're going to talk about big-ass calendars, the importance of art to our survival as humans, what's in my backpack during Guerrilla Bars, and a whole bunch of other things. I'm going to react to a freestyle submitted by one of you, and I'll close it out with a freestyle of my own. Y'all know how we do. Flow State, baby. Let's go.
This is for my Flow State. Add it. Yeah. Y'all know we back at it. Ain't it crazy how the mind works magic? We gon' show you the method behind the madness, 'cause this is for my Flow State.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Flow State with yours truly, Harry Mack. And joining me virtually for the first time, my man Sam. What's poppin', dude?
What up, what up? Yeah, dude, producing from afar today.
That's right. I love it. I love it. Which is probably going to be the new normal, right?
I think so. We'll see how it goes. I think this makes a lot of sense. Feels good. So
Yeah.
I'm stoked to give it a shot today.
Hell yeah, me too. It's a bit of a trek for those watching and listening for Sam to actually be physically in my studio. So in an effort to smooth out the process of creating these and keeping them cranking for you all and for us, because we love making them, we're going to try it out virtually, man. And I'm very excited. We got a lot of recordings happening.
Hell yeah.
Well, dude, I'm excited to be here, man, doing another episode. Shout out to everybody that's been supporting the podcast. Love seeing the comments that are coming in. Yeah, it's really encouraging, you know, all solo episodes so far. And I really enjoy the solo episodes. And it seems like there's a strong segment of the audience that enjoys watching them and listening to them. So appreciate you guys so much, man. Thanks for tapping in with us. Yeah, so today, I guess, for a little, opening spiel, I wanted to talk a little bit about a tool that I've started incorporating that has been pretty revolutionary, honestly. I mean, it might be a little early to say that, actually. I sometimes get really gung-ho on things right at the beginning. But so far, it's been amazing. And the tool I'm referring to is called the Big Ass Calendar. Shout out to Jesse Itzler. For those who don't know, he's an incredible entrepreneurial mind. He's somebody who's built a ton of companies in his lifespan so far. I actually met him at a music festival that he produces. Well, a music and lifestyle festival, I should say, that he produces called Running Man, which he does out in Atlanta. And I got to perform at Running Man a couple years back, I guess. And it was really cool. Coast Contra was there performing as well. So I got to meet them for the first time. And yes, Jesse Itzler, in addition to being an entrepreneur, is really into like fitness and well-being and things of that nature. He's a big-time runner. And so hence the name Running Man. There's quarter marathons, half marathons, full marathons, ultra marathons, all kinds of marathons. Whatever distance you want to run, you could do it right there on the festival grounds. And there's like the world's biggest sauna was there. And, cold plunges and all kinds of things like that. I did not get in the cold plunge before anybody asks in the comments, but some team members did. Did you get in the cold plunge at Running Man?
I did not, but that was super cool, man. It was just like people running consistently the whole time. Like, someone would finish a 5K and someone else is like on mile 24 of their like longer route and stuff.
Yeah. And since you mentioned 5K, I just remember one bar that I had on stage that like Jesse Itzler was dying laughing at, where I said like, shout out to everybody that's running a 5K. I can't even run half a mile out my driveway. And, But but it was great, man. And Jesse Itzler's a really cool guy, amazing. I had seen some of his like content online. There were like videos of various like keynote speeches that he had given at, events and so on and so forth. But it was really great to meet him because he was such a down to earth, cool, personable guy. And, I really enjoyed my time there. We got to rock the set, which was a lot of fun. But he has some amazing stories. So definitely check out his content. He tells some of these stories through his content, but he was connected with 50 Cent very early on, like before 50 Cent was the massive celebrity that he is now. And he actually has a lot of connections to the hip hop world throughout his entrepreneurial journey. But he makes this product now called the Big Ass Calendar, and he sent it to me, and I didn't use it at first. And then just recently, my wife was like, yo, we got to get this big ass calendar thing going. And so she bought the one for this year, and it's been awesome. Basically what it is it's just a giant poster, and it's the whole year. So the way it's organized is it'll be like January, and then it's a row. So every month is a row. So you go January all the way across, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way through, 31. And then if it goes to 31. I don't know my months and days, to be honest. This is why I need the big ass calendar. So January goes all the way across, then down to February, March, April, and so on and so forth. I won't keep going because I'm going to say them out of order and it's going to be incredibly embarrassing. But I don't need to have it in my mind. Yeah, there you go. I don't need to have it in my mind because it's on the wall now in our bedroom, actually. And it's so cool. My wife actually got the whole kit. So it's like there's these different color-coded stickers that you can put on that are the size of the day, or you can cut them in half and layer them if there's multiple categories of events happening on the same day, and different little stickers to denote certain things. And it's been really cool, honestly, because, you know, I'm somebody with a little ADD. It causes me to have some time blindness and just confusion around timelines in general, which is something that was always a challenge for me throughout school. I was able to do fairly well in school, but I was always like procrastinating things to the last second or forgetting my assignments, and I was having to like kind of charm my way out of not getting bad grades because like once I finally got the thing in, it was pretty good. Like I cared a lot, but I just couldn't keep track of things. And still to this day, that is probably one of my biggest challenges is keeping track of things and understanding, okay, if there's something really important in a month, that's not that far away, you know, or it's at least it's not forever away. And sometimes in my mind, left to my own devices, I'll be like, okay, yeah, that thing. Well, I guess I'll worry about that when I feel the pressure of it on my shoulders. The problem is I'm not really going to feel the pressure of it until it's maybe a little bit too late. And then it's this crushing pressure. And then I'm super stressed, and I don't like to work when I'm feeling super stressed. So the big ass calendar has been cool because it allows you to just kind of see the whole year in one giant snapshot and kind of like see the distance between the big events that you have on your calendar. For example, I was invited to perform at TED in Vancouver, you know, TED Talks. So I'm going to be doing a performance/talk at TED, and I'm really excited for it. And it's a different format than what I'm normally used to. Like I'm not just going to show up and do my regular routines from my set. I want to do something special and tailor-made for TED. So I need to carve out like a lot of time to get ready, you know, and to rehearse and to map it out and to like decide exactly how I want it to flow and film myself doing it, you know, and watch the film back. So, okay, this part could be better. And having the big ass calendar has been really advantageous because I'm able to look and I'm able to see. I think this is the biggest piece that has helped me is I'm able to actually see when I'm getting overbooked between today and TED, let's say. But really anything. We have a tour in Europe, you know, later this year. So like I can see the openness between those things. And then I can see as stickers start going in random places, oh, we're out of town for this weekend because you said yes to this corporate gig. Or, oh, remember we have this family thing that we're doing on this weekend. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, the open spaces are quickly disappearing. And so it's like, okay, let's not fill in any more of the open spaces. And I'm able to actually see that in advance, which is something I cannot do in my own brain. And for whatever reason, I cannot do it in the Google Calendar app on my phone. It just doesn't look clear enough to me. Like when I open the Google Calendar app, like my brain starts spinning. I'm just like, what is going on? And that is not the case for my wife. She's masterful with it, but I can't really manage those systems in the digital form for whatever reason as well. And so having this big ass calendar has been really, really fire. So shout out to Jesse Itzler. And in addition to the work stuff too, I will mention it is great that I get to put these family trips, for example, on the calendar. You know, one thing I'm really focused on now that I'm a father especially, but this was important before I was a father because I was a husband, you know. And, you know, I'm a son to my parents and I'm a brother to my sister. And we all have these different roles that we fill outside of our career role, right? And so I haven't always been great at keeping things in balance. And we've talked in previous episodes that balance does not mean half and half. It does not mean 50% work, 50% other stuff. It's whatever balance makes sense for you in whatever season of life you happen to find yourself in. But certainly in this season of life for me, you know, having a new baby, I really want to be there with my family, and I want to have time that is sort of delineated specifically for me to be spending full days, you know, with my wife and my daughter and experiencing new places together and having adventures together, you know, and making those memories and really having experiences. Because I think so often we just procrastinate having great experiences. We're like, well, right now I got to just work and make money and, you know, do these other things and try to climb the ladder of success. And, you know, so, oh, someday in the future, I'll have those experiences. But you don't want to only have experiences when you're old, like the whole classic, like, oh, I'll experience the world when I'm retired. I mean, that can be really beautiful. Shout out to any retired people who are listening or watching who are traveling the world now that they have the time and freedom. But for me, I want to make sure that I'm having some of those experiences now, in my 30s. Why not? I mean, I want to try to spread it throughout the entire span of my life if I can. And I definitely wasn't good at prioritizing those things through my 20s and even the first half of my 30s. So yeah, I am very grateful to my man, Jesse Itzler. Thank you so much, my friend, for creating such a simple and effective tool. And we'll link it in the show notes. You guys should check it out. Big ass calendar.
It's dope, man. Yeah, he talks a lot about that side that you just touched on, like the making memories part. When I've seen him promote the calendar, that's mostly what I've seen, which is really dope. Like coming from someone who is so involved in the business world. I mean, he owns he's been like a private jet company owner. I'm pretty sure he's a partial owner of the Atlanta Hawks basketball team. The man is busy on that end. But really, whenever I see anything about the big ass calendar coming from him, it's about like how easy it is to just like not make one of those trips happen with friends or family because you're like, wow, I got Ted coming up. Like, that's going to take up this chunk. But I guess being able to visually see it, you're like, nah, there's a window here. Or it empowers you to say no to stuff, I would assume, a little bit easier. Because I have the same thing, man. It's hard for me to keep track of, like, I get one big thing and I'm kind of stressing about it for a chunk of time. Yeah. And, you kind of lose all that space before it. Or it's hard for me to kind of compute as well.
Yeah. No, I feel you, man. And it sneaks up, It's like it seems fine for a while. And then all of a sudden you're like, damn, I gave away all the time that would have been for preparation if you're not careful. And we, luckily, like, I have built-in systems. I have a team, obviously, and you're part of that team. And there are built-in systems around the really important things that we do that require a long lead time. So, like, for example, anytime we're going on tour, it's like we also open up, 3 weeks to a month before the tour that is dedicated to rehearsing for a tour. So it's like, okay, I'm not going to drop the ball on that. That's all sort of planned in advance. But at this phase in my career, there's sort of like new opportunities that I want to jump on that require more prep, that are not just touring, so it's important that even smaller things, seemingly smaller things, but bigger projects in the sense of like requiring more creative effort on my end to craft and to sort of mold and get ready is important. But and you're right, man. That's one of the things I really enjoy about Jesse Itzler's content is that he's incredibly successful and he obviously works incredibly hard. So I'm not saying that he's like, yeah, man, just chill and have fun. Like, it's not that, but he's not only like, yo, you got to grind, you got to hustle, you got to work harder. It's not like that's his only message. In fact, it seems that he's much more focused on promoting this message of balance. And actually the impetus for creating the big ass calendar, I can't remember the word for this concept, but there's this concept that is essentially having one year defining event every year. And basically locking that in up front. So like, he has this process, I think at the end of the year, maybe in December, or maybe it's at the beginning in January, I can't recall, where he kind of reflects back on the year. And he also plots out this year defining event. And that could be a lot of different things. It depends on, what you want it to be. It could be a road trip across the country with your best friends from high school. It could be climbing this mountain, who knows? It could be all kinds of things. Visiting a country you've never been to, booking yourself a comedy set, and getting up there and doing 15 minutes of comedy. That could be the year-defining event, I'm sure. It would definitely define my year. It sounds really scary. But, it's a really cool concept. So starting there and then working backwards from having that sort of a year-defining event is the impetus for having this big-ass calendar. It's to my understanding. So,
yeah. He talks about it like building a life resume. So it's like not necessarily like your, official title in the office. It's like outside, it's all of it combined. I can't remember the term for it either, but it's like creating those like unforgettable memories for yourself as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, damn, at this point, Jesse Itzler, obviously you're welcome to be a guest on Flow State because we have dedicated this opening talk to you, my friend. And you are so deserving and very inspiring. So thank you for everything. But yeah, man, lots of fun stuff coming up. Ted coming up. I'm very excited. Euro tour coming up here as well. We will be in Europe, my friends. July 4th in Belgium, July 5th in Netherlands, July 7th in Germany, July 9th in Austria, July 11th back in Germany, July 16th in Norway. 3 festivals, 3 headlining shows. I'm so excited to get out there. Come out and rock with me, man. Tickets are selling. They're selling through. Europe goes hard, but they are not sold out. And certainly the festivals are not sold out. But even the headliners, there are still tickets available. But do cop your tickets if you're interested in coming out, because it seems like the appetite is strong for us to get back to Europe, which it's an honor, man. I love rocking out there every single time. The energy is just amazing. I love getting on stage, period. It's my favorite thing to do. But I'm excited to get back out to Europe. It's been a little while. HarryMackOfficial.com/shows. That's where you want to go, my friends. Hope to see you in the flesh.
Stoked.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be a good time.
Absolutely.
Well, dog, I've got a Moments of Flow clip pulled for you.
Beautiful.
And this one comes from Lynda Barry, who is a famous American cartoonist and just author, and just gives a lot of really interesting has a lot of interesting dialogue out there regarding creative process and kind of just encouraging everyone to get creative in their own ways. So if you want to pull this clip up.
Absolutely. Lynda Barry we have right here. And I'm actually not familiar with Lynda Barry's work. We were talking a little bit before the recording. This was actually Jordana on our team is the one who kind of put her on your radar, right?
Yeah, Jordana sent this my way yesterday, which is awesome. She sent me a lot of like cool different quotes and things like that to go through for this. And she pulled up Lynda Barry, and I mean, it hit. I was like, we're using this tomorrow.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, I'm very excited. Let's run the clip. Moments of Flow, Lynda Barry.
You know, it's interesting how soon people give up. Like, I remember it was on the radio. I remember, like being in the back of the car and there was somebody on the radio saying, concert pianists, if you'd like to really play piano, you must begin before the age of 4. And, I'm 12 sitting in the back seat and going,
there you go.
Damn. Or if you want to be a ballet dancer, it has to be by age 3. It's like, damn. And by the time you're 12, you're washed up, right? You already know what you're good at and what you're not good at. And there's this feeling for us that unless we're really, really good at something, we don't have the right to do it, which I think is sort of like saying, unless you can ride a bike like Lance Armstrong, you can't ride a bike. And it turns out not even Lance Armstrong could ride a bike like Lance Armstrong, So there's performative work, but then there's this other thing that's interesting. And one of the cases I make for this thing that we call the arts, I always call it this thing we call the arts because it was there before we had that name for it. It's that every little kid who's nobody has to teach them to do any of those things, to draw or to make stories or to dance. And I believe that one of the basic tenets of evolution is that things that contribute to our survival tend to persist. Art persists. Art persists, and it doesn't just persist as adults when we look at it as a performance thing, but it's in every little kid. And in fact, if it's not in them, if we have a 4-year-old that's scared to draw, we worry about them. But then if they're 40 and they're scared to draw, it's like, yeah, me too, man. So I'm interested in what happens, and if I can communicate that drawing can be something else, just like there are all kinds of alcoholic drinks and all kinds of music, there is all kinds of drawing as well.
Wow, that's fire. Let me hit, I haven't even hit my sound effects yet. Lynda Barry. Spitting flames. That's amazing. I really love everything that she shared. It's really aligned with the way that I think about creativity and the making of art. I love that she said this thing we call art because it existed before we called it the arts. Like before there were like jazz studies programs in universities, and before you could like get your degree in painting at a fine art school somewhere. Like before there were curriculums and all this like codification of the arts. People were making art, like all the way back, like cave people were like banging sticks on the wall and stuff and using their voices. It's so true. It's so inherent to being human. And I love what she mentions about every little kid does it. I also think this is me free associating, and here we go. Like once the brain starts spinning, it starts spinning. But there's this article or essay, I'm not sure what you would call it, by the great jazz pianist Keith Jarrett about Miles Davis. I think he wrote it after Miles passed, like around the time of Miles's passing. And it was like the theme of it was like, imagine the first musician, you know? And it was like the first musician ever, like which is, I mean, what is the first musician? People were probably making sounds in different parts of the earth at the same time. But like, just as a cool concept, like if you imagine the first musician, like they didn't play a genre, you know? They didn't play for any ulterior motive. Like they didn't play so that they could be heard by an A&R, so that they could be brought into the fold, so that they could record an album, so that they could tour. Like they just played from the purest possible place, you know? And his thing was that Miles Davis still holds on to the spirit of the first musician, which is beautiful. But this made me think about that, you know, that like we tend to codify things and societize them and like give them names and say like, well, this is the right way to do it, and therefore this is the wrong way to do it. And there's this whole thing that the bassist Victor Wooten talks about, one of the greatest bass players of all time, talks about how like if a kid shows interest in playing an instrument, the parents, like if they're just tinkering on a piano at like their mom's friend's house or something, often the parent will say, oh, are you interested in that? Well, we're going to have to get you some lessons so you can learn how to play it. You know, it's like, well, meanwhile, the kid was already playing it, you know? Like that whole concept of like, oh, well, we'll get you some lessons with a professional so that they can teach you your scales so that, you know, and I'm not saying that there's not value to learning scales and learning, you know, healthy technique and things of that nature. But it is true that as kids, we finger paint, we sing, you know? My daughter is 8 months old and she sings all day, not melodies, but she's just like making these sounds, long sounds. Like there's no word that goes ong, gong, 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 but that's what she does. That's singing to me, you know? So this creativity is really just, it's a part of us. And I never thought about it in terms of survival and evolution, you know, but I thought that was a really cool point, that the things that contribute to our survival as a species persist through time. And sure enough, creativity and the making of art has persisted. Therefore, it is probably essential. And I believe it is essential. I certainly wouldn't want to live in a world where we didn't have art and creativity. And you can't even really imagine what that is, because without art and creativity, you wouldn't have houses, you wouldn't have buildings, you wouldn't have streets. All of those are creative concoctions as well, you know, and born from human creativity. So I love it, man. Really dope.
Yeah, I thought that persists part was very interesting as well, because I hadn't thought about it. It's almost like she likens it to, you know, like food and shelter. Like these things, as long as like we've been a species, there's been a few things that persist, and it's like kind of the needs of life. And to put art in there was so interesting. And yeah, like you said, like even back with the cave drawings and stuff, or it's always been there. Yeah, and just like I think you could like put this a lot too, like kids a lot of times in schools and things, growing up, you're kind of encouraged to find what you want to do very early. Yeah, and like I've seen a lot of things recently, kind of just about like how that's not really a fair thing to put on like on any developing child, you know, because like some people might have it and that's awesome, like you have a passion, you identified it, but like that's kind of out of the norm almost. Like you don't always find it, and it's almost, it kind of fits into this a little bit. She's like, there, you know, like there's different styles of alcoholic drinks, there's different styles of drawing, like just because you're drawing and it doesn't match into this quantifiable lane or whatever, go for it. Like
100%.
I love it. I love it.
Me too. And and thanks for reminding me too about the whole way that the clip starts is like, she's listening to the radio and it's saying, if you haven't started ballet by 3, you're doomed. If you haven't started violin by 5, whatever. And it's like, yeah, there are these amazing prodigies, right? But they are absolutely the anomalies, you know, they're the exception to the rule. And it's cool that they exist. And like, we can celebrate these amazing prodigies who are just locked in from age 2, you know? And it's getting crazier and crazier, by the way, every year. Like I remember when I was young, without going on too much of a tangent, but here we go. I'm in flow state, baby. But when I was young, it was like, there was a video of like the 12-year-old drummer that was so amazing. And I was like in high school, I was like a senior in high school, and I was like, yo, look at this dude, he's 12. Now it's like, you know, then the next one was like the 9-year-old drummer. And now it's like literally like babies, dog, I swear. It's like, I don't even know how their foot is reaching the pedal. They have like a block on the pedal to reach it, you know? And it's amazing, you know? And like we should all watch them in awe, because like they seem to be proof that there's more to the universe than we can possibly understand. That's great. But yeah, bro, how sad and limiting is it? and discouraging is it to hear that if you haven't started something by the time you're 3, 5, 12, even 20, even 40, like, dude, life is long, you know, and people have done amazing things starting late in their life trajectory. There are so many like great actors. I don't have the list in front of me, but people will publish lists of like, hey, here's all the like famous actors that you know and love that got their first gig post 40, you know, and it's like some of the greats. And it's the same in music. Even in sports, there are those like, you know, rare cases where it's like, yo, this guy didn't even like get to the NBA till he was, you know, so much older than the median age. So I agree with you, man. And you know, everyone is creative. I believe that wholeheartedly. I don't say that because it sounds like a nice thing to say or to try to just be some sort of like encouraging, inspiring guy that makes people feel good about themselves. I genuinely believe that all human beings are creative. You know, so it saddens me that you'll talk to people and they're like, oh, I'm not creative, you know, or, oh, I love what you do. I'm not creative. I just do this, you know, I'm just an accountant or whatever it is. And it's like, well, you are creative, you know, and you can cultivate your creativity in all kinds of different ways. And you use your creativity already when you're in a conversation with somebody. You know, you don't know where it's going to go, so you're improvising and you're engaged in this dance. So yeah, I wholeheartedly believe that. And there are cultures around the world where everybody just like plays drums, you know? Everybody just okay, you're playing the conga, I'm gonna pick up the cowbell. Like there are cultures where that's just what you do. Like everybody plays hand drums. Like drum circles are just part of things. Like if you have a block party, there's a drum circle. You know, and then like it's really cool when you see people incorporate that. Like I guess like in American culture or something, it's like if you have an acoustic guitar in the living room and like some little and like a tambourine and some instruments and the family learns how to sing songs, that's so beautiful. You know, they're not doing it to like go on tour as a family band and like make money. It's just a way of having access to creativity in the household. So I fuck with it, man. And I really have I've been thinking a lot lately that like, I want to try to just like do something creative that is not to be shared at all. Like, I don't know, watercolors or drawing or just anything in the visual arts, you know, like that's not my thing in terms of career, but I think it would be fun to just mess around.
That's dope, man. Don't tell me, man. I'll try to shoot it with a camera and get this. You know, you got to do that behind my back, man. Like, we got content, dude. He's water painting.
That's the hard part. Is it's like, well, now I draw my album covers. Fuck, now I have to do it. It's like, damn. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah, shout out to Lynda Barry. Shout out to Jordana on our team for pulling this clip in, and shout out to you, bro, for bringing moments of flow into the mix, man. I love this part.
Same here. Yeah, shout out Jordana. We'll try to get her on an episode coming up because the last few episodes we've featured some team members.
Yes,
and we're gonna keep that rocking. We've stopped in on Fadl, Sarah, and now we have AxsDeny.
Hell yeah!
So yeah, he sent something in if you want to take a look.
AxsDeny, my guy. If you've ever been on the happy hour stream, which happens once a month, unless we're traveling, but usually once a month on my Patreon, then you already know this man because he is one of my co-hosts. Him and Iconic and myself, the three of us, run that show together. And I guess shameless plug since I'm talking about it, but Patreon is $5 a month and we do this happy hour stream. And it's basically, if you love Omegle Bars and you want to be the guest on the other side of the screen, you can do it through the Patreon happy hour stream. It's not guaranteed, it's a lottery, but usually there's like 12 people raising their hand that want to come and they join me via Zoom. And we use a random number generator. We get through maybe 5-6 people, so we don't get through everyone. But anyway, it's a good time, man. And I love having AxsDeny on there with me. Let's see what he has to say.
Hey, what's up, Harry? And what's up to everyone watching and listening to the Flow State podcast? I'm AxsDeny, the community engagement manager on the team. And if you've ever been in the YouTube comments or Reddit, Instagram, any of the social DMs, honestly, or the Patreon happy hour, there's a decent chance we've interacted at some point in the past. Speaking of that, just from me to all of you listening, the community around this movement that Harry has created is honestly one of the most positive, thoughtful, and supportive groups of people I've ever seen. Getting to interact with the community every day is why I love being a part of what Harry is doing. Outside of the team, I'm a software engineer. And I like to believe that I think analytically, and I'm always looking at systems and processes and how to make things more efficient, especially across creative projects that I'm building on my own. Given that preamble, My question is rooted in the process, really, a bit of behind the scenes. When it comes to building something like Guerrilla Bars, like a release of that, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. What does the full workflow actually look like from start to finish? That is, from planning locations, filming with multiple cameras, edits, sound, all the way through release. What type of iterations and refinement have taken place since the early days, circa 2017 on the boardwalk?
Hell yeah. Awesome question. Yeah. AxsDeny. Much love, my friend. Such a great dude. And thank you for the kind things you said about the community. Oh, actually, I don't know if I should be thanking you. It's really thank you through the screen to the people watching, because he's talking about you. And I agree 100% with what he said. It is such a supportive, positive community. And I'm really honored, man, because the internet can be very strange. And it's just great to have a community on the internet that feels very warm. So especially the pod community, I mean, the whole community, but yeah, I echo what he shared there. And yeah, great question. Guerrilla Bars, man. Well, it's interesting because you said the iteration since 2017. It's kind of funny, like a lot has changed since the beginning, and Guerrilla Bars kind of emerged organically, and it wasn't actually called Guerrilla Bars initially. You know, my first video that went really viral was the Venice Beach Boardwalk Part 1. That's the one that really took off and kind of opened the door to a lot of the bigger opportunities that came my way since then, and sort of set the stage for me to actually have this be my full-time career. And that was, you know, if you go back and watch it, it's very different from what Guerrilla Bars is now. I wasn't asking people for words, you know. In fact, what had happened was, I think maybe we were trying to ask people for words, or we were trying to do something like that, and we just kept striking out, and like we kept just getting rejected and kicked out of places. Like, yo, don't do that in front of my shop, you know. And then finally, we were like so frustrated. I remember we stopped in a bar. Me and my friends, we like had a beer. You know, this was back before I stopped drinking, and after that, we were like, all right, guys, like, let's just go out there, one last try. We'll just set up somewhere. I'm just going to start rapping about people walking by and like see what happens. And lo and behold, a crowd formed, and it became the clip that is Venice Beach Boardwalk Part 1. So it wasn't planned. It was just circumstantial. Like, it was based on our frustration from a whole day of striking out. And then, yeah, it started to evolve sort of on its own. One thing of note about production, the Venice Beach Part 1 video is actually the first day that I had a lav mic, a lavalier mic as it's called, which is the little clip-on mic. Because I had done videos prior to that where I'm sort of walking around in the world. Like, I did one at a liquor store right around the corner from my house. I did one at Echo Park. I used to live near Echo Park in LA, and so I'm just kind of like walking around the park. And I did not have the lavalier mic, and a friend of mine was filming on my iPhone. And so every time I made a reference and my friend pointed in on the reference, like the audio from me got super muddy and quiet, you know, because the directionality of the mic, we lost the directionality of the mic, and it was a greater distance from my voice. And so my friend in Portland, actually, Peter Wells, shout out to my boy Peter Wells, who I've been knowing since I was in first grade. I was there on like winter break or something. I mean, I was out of college already, so not like official winter break, but I was there for the holidays, and he was like, yo, bro, you should get a lav mic. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, you should get like a clip-on mic, you know, so no matter where the camera goes, like, you'll still sound the same. And I was like, bro, you're a genius, man. All right, cool, I'm gonna do that. So I got one that just plugged into my phone, you know, and then we filmed on a different phone, or maybe I plugged it into my old phone. But yeah, I found a way to record a clip-on mic, and that was the first time we used it, and it was super clutch because, you know, it freed up my friend who was filming to like go all the way around the back of the crowd and show the scale of the crowd and like get more creative with the shots, which is really cool. In that first video, like, he really contributed to the style of that video with the way that he filmed it. And so that's one of the evolutions that occurred. And then, you know, I continued making videos out in the world. There's even a couple videos like in Hollywood and in Santa Monica that came out subsequently after Venice Part 1, where I had a little a mic and a little PA speaker, like we did later with the Busking with Bows series. I had a little setup that I would sometimes incorporate like that. So it was just kind of like experimenting, trying different things, but it was a lot more just rapping about like the passerbys and what they're wearing. And maybe if I like had a crowd and the beat ended, I'd be like, yo, somebody throw me a word. But it was much looser in that sense. It was way more visuals, just like rapping about the shirts and the shoes and the water bottle and a pigeon that flew by and all of those types of things. And then, and then there was sort of like, I'm trying to think of the timeline, because when did I actually come back with Guerrilla Bars? Well, I guess it was like I stopped making YouTube videos for a full year and focused on making my album, which ended up being like an EP, not a full-length album, which is Contents Under Pressure. And so during that time, I was just like, okay, I'm just going to like take a break from all this content stuff so I can focus on my goal of recording music. And then I ran out of money and I was broke. And I was like, damn, I might have to go get a job. But I really didn't want to do that because I just love being a creative guy as much as I possibly can with my time. And I was like, but I think I'm going to have to go do this. And shout out to my wife, who was not my wife at the time, but we lived together, and she said, fuck that. Like, you got it. Make content again. People love you, you can do this. And so that is when I turned monetization on my YouTube channel for the first time. So all of the first videos, I didn't have monetization on because I thought that people would not watch the ads. I thought that if people had to watch the ads, they would bounce from the video. And I just wanted as many people to watch the videos as possible, so I never turned on monetization. This time, I turned on monetization. I used my own beats so that we wouldn't get demonetized. I had this cache of beats that I had made. And I went back out with the lav mic for what would be named Guerrilla Bars Episode 1. So there was like a bit of a rebrand. And I filmed episode like 1 through 7 or something like that. And I think it was episode 7 that finally like caught and kind of went viral. And I had stashed all this footage for Guerrilla Bars, and then COVID came, which is crazy. But I had a hard drive full of shoots. Guerrilla Bars shoots. And I was like, this is mind-blowing. Like, I'm just sitting on, like, and I only posted every other Friday at that point, which we're back on that cadence now. But this was before we, like, increased the tempo to every Friday. So it was every other Friday. And I was like, I have, like, months. I have, like, I don't know how long, like 4 or 5 months of this content of me in the world interacting with humans, which was crazy. Very serendipitous. Everything came screeching to a halt. We had to put the watermark that said, hey, this was filmed on this date, because everybody was like wearing masks and isolating, and I was just out there like dapping it up with everybody, rapping through lines. People in the comments would be like, where is this? Like, this is in Florida, right? Like, no, but but yeah, it was crazy. And so I had all that content. So that's what was Guerrilla Bars. And I think when I rebranded as Guerrilla Bars, that's when I started leaning in more on like asking people for words. And that's also when not in episode 1, I don't think, but I think starting in like Guerrilla Bars 2 or maybe 3, I don't know exactly when it started, but this is when I started layering the beat in to give more fullness to it. Because if you listen early on, like, yes, we added the lav mic, so my vocal was always clear, but the beat was just getting picked up from a combination of the phone or the camera audio and my little clip-on lav. So yeah, it was just, this is the longest answer to your question imaginable, but I just wanted to kind of tell the story of how it was very organic that Guerrilla Bars turned into what it is now. And now it's like a thing, and it's very recognizable within my audience. And it has a sound and it has a look. But it all just kind of happened one piece at a time, organically based on need, or me just randomly being like, yo, the beat sounds weak. Maybe it'd be fire if we layered the beat in. And so, yeah, that's kind of how it developed eventually into what it is now. And then, after COVID, I had to take a break from it, and everything was Omegle for a while. And then when the world opened back up, we got back out there and started doing it. And there were more upgrades at that point too. Now, Sam, you film Guerrilla Bars, and that started at that time. You and Con were filming all of the episodes starting when the world opened back up again, which was super dope. We started having the 2 cameras. That was different, And there was experimentation there too. At first, like, we had 2, it was actually not you and Con, it was you and another videographer that we hired, and both of you had like full rigs. And we quickly learned that was too intimidating, like to roll up on people with 2 full camera rigs. So then we were like, yo, Con, like, can you film on your phone? Like, and that way Con looks like he's just part of the crowd. Like, he blends in. That's why sometimes you'll see Con in the crowd in a Guerrilla Bars clip occasionally when the cameras cross. Oh, there's Con, so look out for that if you haven't ever noticed it. But yeah, we had to figure out what level of production would be still chill enough for us to roll up on groups and have everybody feel comfortable and have everybody react organically, because that's the thing is as soon as people feel like they're on a film set, people tighten up, myself included, it's only natural. So we sorted all that out and just lots of little gradual evolutions over time. But I guess in terms of your question of what goes into it, like area scouting, it depends.
The start? Is that like step one? Like, where are we going to be? Where should we go?
That's step one. I mean, step one is like, when are me, you, and Con going to be together in the same physical place? Like, when are we going to be in the same city? Okay. Maybe it's on tour, or maybe there's something else happening that's bringing us all together. Okay, cool. This weekend, let's go out and do it. And then, where do we want to go? And for a while, it was like, where's the Venice beach of this city, right? What does that mean? I mean, I think Venice Beach is just a place where people are very free-spirited. You don't usually have to have permits to film out there in public. Very diverse, all different kinds of people hanging out, all different kinds of personalities, which I love. That's the beauty of improvising and interacting with people in the world, right? Is you get to experience people from all different walks of life and all different perspectives. And so Venice has that. It's just a beautiful cultural melting pot.
People are congregating like at all times. There's groups of people. So same thing with, let's say, in New York, like Washington Square Park.
Yes.
It's a place that people are gathering throughout the day outside. Yes. Just kind of live it.
Exactly. And in both of those places, there's a culture of like busking and like, artistry and craftspeople selling things. And so it's not jarring, like I did some shoots in places like at Griffith Park in LA. We got up there and it's like so calm and serene and quiet, and there's like security pacing. And then all of a sudden this guy comes in like, yo, it's Harry Mack. It's like, oh my God, like, what are you doing? And eventually we did get kicked out, but we were able to get the content first. So we got him.
It's a vibe thing though. It's a vibe thing for sure.
Exactly. But now, I mean, it's kind of even evolving past that where it's kind of like, okay, how many times can we do these same spots? And I'm sure we'll come back to them time and time again when it feels right. But rather than just always doing the Venice Beach of whatever city we're in, which is great because of the cultural melting pot vibe and the street performer culture that's built in. But they also tend to be touristy places, right? So a lot of times I'm not necessarily performing for like the local scene. I'm kind of performing for people from all over the world who are in these places to have these great experiences, which has a beauty to it, of course. But now I'm definitely focused, and the team is focused on finding places where we can actually tap in with like the local culture, where it's like the people these are cool places with free-spirited people who are going to be open to it, but these are actually the people that maybe live in these neighborhoods, or adjacent neighborhoods. I'm really curious to sort of explore that route now.
Where can we go to find just like a skate park or basketball courts where literally people are just hanging out?
Yes.
It's less of a, like, for sure equation going that route,
right?
To find these little pockets of like actual local culture and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but I definitely think it's rewarding and like comes through with a cool, almost like narrative in an episode.
Yeah.
Besides just going to the most obvious spot, let's say, like in Paris, let's go to the Eiffel Tower.
Exactly.
Yeah, but then let's also branch off.
100%. Exactly. And like to your point, it's a little less efficient probably to like when we go to Times Square, it's like we can knock them out. Like there's people there looking for this, and that's great, and there was a season of time where that was like the priority. It's like, hey man, we got to get this content going. Like we got to do this while we can. Now I'm a little bit more like, hey, it's okay if we like try a location and it just doesn't work out, or we just get one clip, not enough for a full episode. It's like, okay, cool. Like that's still great. I want to be a little bit more exploratory with it. And because I think you're right, man. I think it can create a really special narrative and just have a really cool feeling to it when it does hit. So that's kind of the tip we're on now. I'll speed run the rest of this process because I've just gone on and on. But yeah, it's that. When are we all together? Where should we go? And then when we get there, it's the two cameras. It's you and Con. It's me on a lav mic. Actually, I have been making some upgrades recently to the audio. I'm on a handheld now. In some episodes that are yet to come out, I have a what do you call that? A field recorder strapped to me as a belt. I don't know how that's going to play, man, but I'm excited for it. Audio-wise, it's sick because now I have amplification for my voice. I have a little mixer. Really, the reason I wanted to do that was so I would not lose my voice out there doing Guerrilla Bars because I am just out there screaming. Like when I'm unamplified, the environmental sound is so much louder than you would imagine. And just to get over the environmental sound, and then I'm trying to get over the beat, and then the crowd is forming, and I'm trying to be heard by the people furthest in the back. I'm just wrecking my voice, and I can't justify that anymore as a professional vocalist. And it's been an issue that's been bothering me for a long time. But I was like, man, how can I have vocal amplification in a way that's kind of low profile, but still works? And I think I've found it, but the videos haven't come out yet, so hopefully you guys rock with it too. But yeah, those have been sort of the upgrades, the 2 cameras, the audio setup, and then we film as many clips as we have energy for. Sometimes it's not working out at first, and we have to say, well, let's cut our losses and try a different place. We'll hop in an Uber and go somewhere else and try it out there. We feel like there's kind of this energy wave that we put out sometimes. Like if we're in a good mood, we're more likely to have great interactions. You know, if we're feeling a little tight or a little like, it's not working, what's wrong, what's going on? If we're putting all this pressure on the situation, it usually is a struggle, you know? So that's a big part of it, I would say, while we're out there is just cracking jokes, maintaining just a optimistic outlook, having fun with it, remembering to have fun. And then after we capture it all, it goes to the editing team. And first it goes to Con, who actually lays everything out, and so we can look at everything that we got and make decisions about which clips will go into which episodes. Con's really good at producing the episodes and being like, hey, I think we should use these 3 clips for the episode in this order. He makes the first call on that, and then if anybody's like, oh, maybe we switch these 2, there will be conversations around that. And then once we have the order locked, it gets edited.
Yeah,
we get a thumbnail made, usually by Sarah on our team, who cooks up awesome thumbnails. We vote on which thumbnails we like. Con suggests some titles. We vote on which title we like. All of those last minute pieces come together. It gets uploaded as a private video on YouTube, and then the team goes in and watches for QC to make sure there's nothing wrong with it. No any issues of any kind that would require a re-export. Yeah. And then if it passes the QC, then it's good and it's out, man.
Yeah. No, it's all like you were talking about. Like even from the very first time we went out there, it's all been kind of a product of trying and seeing what works. And slowly it's kind of become this system that we have pretty dialed. But like you said, you now even have the PA thing. So the journey, the evolution continues.
Yes.
But you know, we've gotten pretty efficient with it. Not that we're like trying to rush it, but like at the beginning, you know, we might have been out there for like, you know, a 10-hour day sometimes, just like roaming New York. Now we kind of do have a sense for like how to maximize both what, you know, your stamina. If we're on tour, you got a show the next day. It's like, we can't just be out in Times Square having you yell the whole day.
Right.
And it's become like, it's honestly, man, there's some of I love shooting your live shows a lot. But I don't even want to rank them, but like Guerrilla Bar days are up there for me. Like it is so fun getting out there. You never know what's going to happen out there, and the vibes are always up. And
100%.
I love shooting Guerrilla Bars.
Oh, dude, me too. It's such a good time, and and I mean, it's such a team effort. I hope that comes across in my answer to this question. Is that it's a massive team effort. You know, and there's other components as well. Jordana transcribes the whole thing so that the closed captions are accurately embedded in the video when it drops for accessibility and just so that we have like a document of like the actual lyrics. So much work that goes into that. You know, Sarah and Todd are splitting the editing on these videos. Fadl is editing shorter clips. I mean, it's just like it's a team effort. It's an all hands on deck kind of thing. And I never would be able to do it at this level as consistently without the team. So, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Thank you so much, AxsDeny. Make sure you check this man out. Support him. He does so many things. And being part of Team Mack is just one of them. But check him out. AxsDeny, AxsDeny.com is his website, which it has a link tree to everything that he's doing. One thing of note that I personally get a kick out of is Pennsylvania, which is his Twitch stream. I think it's still up and running. It's a 24/7 video stream of his hens and his chickens. I don't know if they're all hens, but yeah, and you can use bits and stuff and interact with the stream, and it'll like feed the hens and change the lights and all kinds of crazy things. So make sure you check that out. He's a creative guy through and through, and we're so happy to have him on the team. Amazing.
Shout out, Axis.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, dog. Appreciate you.
Come hang with us on a happy hour, too. It's always a good time over there. We're going to keep the questions flowing. We got some questions submitted from the fans. If you are a fan, or if you're watching this, listening to this, you have something you want to ask me, something you'd love to hear me talk about on the pod, harrymackofficial.com/flowstatepod. Send me a video. I would love to see your beautiful face. Send me some audio. I'd also, if you don't want to film your face, that's fine, but I'll listen to your beautiful vocalizations because I'm sure you have a unique tone and it would bless our podcast to be able to hear it. Or you can type up a question. Okay, but it's pretty clear what I think is the best. Okay, video, then audio, then typing. But we love all questions, no matter how they come through. Let's get to some of them now. First one comes from Cy Fry. Love the name. And the question is simple. Why does he always have a backpack on in videos? I'm going to air horn that one. Yes, great question. And this pertains to Guerrilla Bars mainly. I guess busking as well. I didn't wear a backpack during Omegle Bars, to be clear. Okay. I don't always have a backpack on. But no, I have a backpack on outside mainly to carry water. It gets hot out there sometimes. And even if it's not hot, like I said, man, I am just pushing my vocals to the limit. Hopefully now with this new audio rig that I'm incorporating, it won't be as much of an issue. But always, if you're a professional vocalist, hydration is like the first step to ensuring high vocal health. And so I'm out there going hard for an extended period of time. I don't know if we're going to have quick access to like run into a McDonald's or something like that or stop at a gas station. So, and I don't want to stop the flow if things are flowing and feeling good. So I try to carry water. I'll carry snacks, sunscreen, sometimes like backup batteries and gear and stuff like that. But usually not. It's usually like the essentials for us to survive out there, man. And like stay reasonably comfortable. I might take my hoodie off at some point and put it in the backpack. So it's really kind of like my personal pack. And of course, we share the snacks as a team and the water and stuff like that. But yeah, it's kind of those types of essentials. That's what I have on my back.
Hell yeah, man. I thought you were going to just keep going. Just like, you got a map, compass. I
wish,
a
dude.
little generator,
tent. I wish I knew how to use a map and a compass. Tent. Yeah, for when we really get into it. Damn, dude. I have thought I should put a dictionary in there and just hand it to people and be like, yo, pull a word out of here,
Start pulling props out.
Yeah. But then they'd be like, oh, this is fake. He's memorized every word in that dictionary. Like, he has a rhyme for every. It's like, well, that would be pretty awesome if I had done that. Right? Thank you, Cy Fry. Yep. Water, snacks, that kind of thing. Moving on, a question from Bob H. The rawness of Soliloquies hits me deep. Thank you. How do you feel about that project / where you are now, looking back years later? Wow. Well, first of all, thank you so much for the kind words. I'm really glad that you enjoy the Soliloquies EP. I enjoy it as well. I haven't listened to it in a long time, if I'm being honest, but it's near and dear to my heart. And just thinking back on it, I mean, it was I think it was a big milestone for me because I had gotten vulnerable in my freestyles at various moments. And whenever I do my live shows, there are usually several moments throughout the night where I'm able to get kind of vulnerable and talk about, some of the things that are important to me, important to my journey, pertaining to, mental health, insecurity, the issues that I had in the past with addiction and substances and pushing through that and, cultivating a positive mindset and pushing through fear, So I had addressed that at various points in my freestyling, but I hadn't never really taken the time to get some of those more personal messages out in, I guess, like an official music project of sorts. And Soliloquies was cool because they were improvisations. Those songs were freestyles. Aside from the third track, the title track, Soliloquies, that was not an improvised freestyle. I thought of those lyrics in my head and kind of memorized them in my head and then just had to get to the mic to lay them down. But they were basically written, just not with a pen. But yeah, the first two tracks, Feeling Lost and Fuck This Fear, those were all created from freestyles. And there were start and stops. I would basically do a full verse and then be like, okay, I like that one. And then I would record until I had a second verse that I liked. And then I would go back in and think of a chorus and lay it in. So it was a little bit of a hybrid, but basically they were improvisations that I recorded. And I really was excited to experiment with that process more. I had done that on Rap Coltrane. Those were just straight through freestyles, every single track, one take. There were no choruses on that, I don't think. Yeah. So they were all just like one and done, just one long verse, one long improvisation. And I really enjoyed that process. It was cool to just do freestyles in the studio and kind of hear them back as songs and then be able to like mix them and have effects and like kind of produce it how I would a written song, but knowing that it was just a raw improvisation, it had like such a great feeling to it for me. And it was exciting for me to listen back. It was like I was surprising myself. And so I wanted to dive a little bit deeper and say like, okay, well, what's the next evolution of this? Can I do that, but not just battle rhymes, not just me flexing. You know, Rap Coltrane was basically just me flexing and me being an MC and talking about how I'm dope. I wanted to, you know, bring in, again, some of those more personal, vulnerable messages with Soliloquy. So Feeling Lost is a lot about like, you know, mental health struggles, feeling sort of anxiety, feeling some version of depression, you know, and finding it hard to shake that off, you know, and hearing those negative voices in the morning in your head, or just finding it hard to get out of bed, you know, is still a thing sometimes for me, for a lot of people. And yeah, it talks about, you know, that song talks about, I mean, like put your shoes on, go outside, you know, go outside. And I have found that is such a helpful remedy. And still, you know, you ask how I feel looking back and where I'm at now. You know, I think that I have made a lot of progress with regard to my mindset, you know, but I still, like all of us, go through ups and downs internally, you know, and I still have good days and bad days. And yeah, that's an oversimplification because every day is a little of both, hopefully. But sometimes we go through rough patches, you know, and sometimes they last longer than we wish that they would. I'm happy to say that I'm feeling good these days, but I still find that like if I forget to go outside, it's not great, you know. If I can get outside early in the day, it's so much better than there will be some days where it's like it's the evening and I'm like, damn, I didn't go outside today. That's crazy. When you do the kind of work that we do, often you're in a studio, you know. And so just another reason to do more Guerrilla Bars. But getting outside is huge. And yeah, and fuck this fear. I mean, it's so funny. Like this is such a great question because it's like I hadn't thought about it, but those things that I'm talking about are kind of lifelong. You know, you don't check them off. Like fear is not a thing that you check off. Like I used to be scared, now I'm good. Not at all. You just like conquer levels of fear. You know, I still have a lot of fear in my life. You know. Luckily not crippling fear, and my heart goes out to people who do experience like crippling levels of fear, or really debilitating levels of fear. It's really challenging. I have to imagine, you know, and I had worse versions of fear previously, or fear around things that now are commonplace. You know, that song is a lot talking about, well, I was trying to channel the energy of how it felt when I was afraid to put a song out. You know, I was afraid to just even have a voice artistically, you know. It goes back to the moments of flow, you know, that we listen to about how people are like 40 years old saying like, oh, I'm scared to draw. Yeah, me too, man. Like that, I was, you know, all I did was work on music and practice and try to get better. I loved it so much. I was so passionate, but I was afraid to share my voice with the world. And now I share my voice with the world all the time and we go on tour. And so that part, I'm like, okay, cool. I have conquered that stage. But it's like there's still things on the horizon that I'm scared of. You know, sometimes I feel like I have limiting beliefs about how far I can take it or who I might be able to collaborate with. I'm pretty introverted. It might sound strange to some, but you know, if I'm not out there doing a show or doing Guerrilla Bars, I'm kind of like type of guy that keeps to himself. You know, I don't really like to like talk about all the things that I've done. Like, oh, you should really love what I do because of X, Y, Z, you know, the self-promotional stuff doesn't come natural to me. And similarly, I don't always reach out to people and say like, hey, I would love to work with you, even if I would. And so those are the things for me to chip away at now, you know, and hopefully in a year or two, that's like, oh, I do that all the time now. You know, I collaborate with people and I reach out and I connect with people all the time. That's nothing. But then there will be something else, you know, and at the end of the day, we don't live forever. And there's always that, you know, looming on the horizon. It's, wow, what's it going to be like to not exist? You know, that's scary, you know? So I think fear is baked into life. And all that we can do is continue saying, fuck this fear, baby, which is the title of that song and the message of that song, and just keep leveling up and keep pushing more of our fears down and conquering them. And how do we do that is we face them, we face them in a way that is manageable. You don't have to do the scariest thing right away. You could, but that's overwhelming and maybe not possible. But what's one tiny thing you could do? If you're scared to put a song out, could you at least record it? Well, that seems scary too. I don't want to record it. That's too official. Oh, could you do a voice memo on your phone? Record it as a voice memo. Maybe you could do that. And then maybe you could text it to one person, right? These are, in my opinion, this is how we get past these fears. We find small little steps that we can take. And over time, it's just like, oh, that's nothing, man. So yeah, I guess just looking back on the project now, it's as relevant as ever, which is cool. I didn't know at the time that it would be like that, but I do feel that like, man, I should listen to it because, I was probably saying some things that it's almost like a message in a bottle or like a time capsule. If I open it up now, it's like, damn, I'm talking to myself. Good reminders. Like, thank you. I needed that. Yeah, fuck this fear. Let me reach out to that person that I want to work with.
Love it. I listened to it not too long ago. Honestly, I go back to both Rap Coltrane and Soulilloquies. Like, there's almost like a natural reminder in my head. Just like every 3 months, I have to go watch them both.
That's fire.
They're such dope projects. I've got them both on vinyl here too. Like they just, I really enjoy the both of how those came together.
Hell yeah.
Fuck This Fear is one of my favorite too. So
thanks, dude.
Got some light today. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, and then lastly too, Soliloquies was because I didn't talk about that one, but that was our opening song on the Odyssey tour. So very near and dear to my heart. I got to rock that song every night for the whole Odyssey tour. Awesome question. Thank you, Bob H. We're gonna take one or two more. Magneto from Reddit asks, when Harry twirls his headphone cable, is it to help him keep time with the beat or is it just a fidget thing? Great question. It is just a fidget thing, man. It's not to keep time really. But I didn't know that I did it for the longest time. And actually it's really funny. When I was doing Omegle Bars in my rental studio in LA, which became the podcast studio, but there's a lot of Omegle Bars that were done like with the gray wall. The framing of the camera, you couldn't see that I was fidgeting with the cable. So like I just didn't know that I did that. And then at one point, maybe it was when I was like doing it in the pool house, or at some point the framing changed and you could see it. Or maybe it was the podcast, like because I'm just sitting on a couch and I'm just playing with the cable the whole time. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? So it was like revealed to me how much of a thing it is. But yeah, it's just a fidget thing. I have to move my body. And I would say in general, even just talking, like moving my body somehow, I think it's like a distraction to the mind or something, or it's like just enough of a distraction so that I can really focus on what I'm saying and not feel overwhelmed. Something like that. And when I'm rapping, it's a very physical thing. Like I always do this. I'm not doing this like for some sort of like theatrical reason. I'm not like, oh, like rapper hands. No, man, never was that. I'm doing this because it feels good and it helps me sort of lock in and find my pocket. When a beat plays, it's like, I start moving, it's dance, and it's rhythmic expression. And so it starts with the body. It's a very physical thing for me. And then I can really find my pocket. So yeah, that's the whole twirling of the cable.
It's interesting because like your other, form of music, drumming, that is literally the instrument where everything is being utilized. Like every like hand and foot has like, a very specific role. And so I guess like jumping over then to like freestyling, you're like at the computer, like you have to, I'm sure like have to have something going on.
100%. Yeah, no, it's a good point. Like drums are a like very physical instrument, obviously one of the most physical instruments. And you are just doing this the whole time. So it's like, they're completely connected. Like the movement is the playing, and in other instruments, it's much more condensed into smaller motions, like on a piano or on a saxophone, it's the fingers. But still, you see, cats doing this the whole time, I think we find there's music inside of our bodies. We find the music in our bodies, the energy and the electricity, and that's what we pour into it. But yeah, that's a good point. Drums are physical, man. So I'm just trying to feel that feeling that I feel behind the kit while I'm rhyming. Because as we know, freestyle is just a drum solo with words. I air horn myself. That's right.
Let's go.
All right, we will take one more here we got a video from David W. Let's go. David W. with the video. Let's hear what David has to say.
What's up, Harry, Mack, and the Flow State Pod family?
Hey.
Here's my question for you, brother. How does your videographer know that you're about to rap about a specific item, whether it be a sign or what it's something somebody's wearing? For instance, in the Guerrilla Bars, and I see the cameraman pan to the item you're about to rap about even before that word leaves your mouth. Yeah. Dude, as a musician for 30 plus years, it absolutely amazes me that they're like so dialed in with you. Like they're almost in the flow state. But yeah, man, keep up the great work. Love that the pod's back. Be safe, guys. Peace.
Hey, hell yeah. Thank you, David W. Great vibe, great energy, man. Really appreciate you. Also, shout out to my man just working his day job at UPS and stopping to send in a video question. I love it, man. And we were talking about this earlier, but I have the lead videographer with me right here. Sam on the cam, man. Sam on the cam. Y'all know what it is. So how do you read my mind, man? How do you know where we're going?
Yeah, dog. Well, I don't.
Right.
But we've definitely, it's just repetition on our end. I think, we've shot multiple tours, however many Guerrilla Bars, since I've come on board right after COVID. And it's kind of a sixth sense thing. And you do a lot too. There's like unspoken, body language and whatnot that kind of helps direct me where you're going, whether it be with your eyes. I do a lot of looking off of my camera. So while I am shooting something that you reference, I am taking a look at where your shoulders are going. And, if you kind of stay locked into a certain spot, I'm starting to kind of look up and down. I'm like, okay, I just kind of try to keep an open, consistent picture of everything that's available to you. And it changes all the time. That's why I love Guerrilla Bars. And, and then it's just listening a lot. I have a really good read for where you might be going. And I get it wrong quite often too. It's part of the game. One that always sticks out to me was like one of our first one takes down Venice. I think it's like 20-minute one. It's not like the longest one, I don't think. But there's a time when I pan over and there's I zoom in on a souvenir sign. It says souvenir. Yeah. And I realized you were going Buzz Lightyear. And like that, and that's like one example of I'm trying to read your rhyme scheme.
Yeah.
And I found one that could fit.
Yeah.
But there was another rhyme to be had over there. So
right. You
don't always get it right.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Well, but I think it's so important to acknowledge that you're listening to me. You're listening to the rhyme and you're not just listening as an audience member. It's you're listening as somebody on the inside who has heard me do thousands of freestyles at this point. And you've also heard me talk about my mental process for putting together a couplet, let's say, and for doing this setup punchline thing. And it's you're as locked in on where I'm going as anybody possibly could be. And that's such a huge part of it. I think that one might assume that it's as long as you have a camera and can, kind of pivot it and control the zoom, you just kind of listen. And when he makes a reference, you just kind of point to it. But it's so much more nuanced than that. It's so much more you're in the freestyle with me. And at any given moment, there are just so many choices to be made about what you're going to point to. Because obviously you could point to me rapping. That's probably the least important thing to show. But it has to be represented somewhat sometimes, right? It can't just be, but maybe you just did a voiceover. Is he even there? So there's some level of showing me. And then there's showing, if there's people reacting, there's showing their smiles and their reactions. That's probably the most important thing to capture, right? But then there's this layer of and why I say that's the most important is because that's the authenticity. That's that's the whole David Blaine street magic thing. It's David Blaine was don't show me as much. I mean, show just enough so they see the trick, but show them reacting to the trick because that's what's going to convince people on the other side of their TV screen that this is real. And I feel that freestyling is the same way. It's when you see people's genuine reactions, that's very hard to fake. It's very hard to, if we had hired actors, it would be very hard, almost impossible to get the performances that we're getting without hiring A-listers in Hollywood. And then it would cost way too much to make Guerrilla Bars. Plus it would be fake and I'm not with that shit. But yeah, so then there's the reactions and then there's my references, you're talking about, what I'm actually rhyming with and seeing that coming and predicting that. So I think it's just so dope, man, that we've been doing this together for as long as we've been doing it. And there's just this unspoken kind of dance that we're doing. And I kind of know, like I'm seeing you in my periphery and I know that you're on it and you're nodding and you're moving towards the thing. And it's just very fluid.
It's like you said there, like a lot of it is like kind of committing too. So it's like, if I'm going down to capture like some shoes right now, like that decision's made. Like you can't get caught halfway like, oh no, like this isn't the reference. And then, like it is just kind of a flow state with you.
Yeah.
And yeah, Guerrilla Bars it's not a perfect formula because Guerrilla Bars is literally like, okay, now some people popped up with like pogo sticks in the back, like literally like something that I'm like, can I get a shot of that? Like, so it's just super fluid. It's one of the most fun things to film. And I actually pulled, I saw this come in from David and I had this clip pulled from a recent Guerrilla Bars.
Sick.
And in this clip, so we're shooting Guerrilla Bars in I think Washington Square Park.
Yep.
Shout out Mikey, by the way. He's filming back here. We didn't mention him earlier, but he also shoots our B cam sometimes when Khan's not around.
Yes.
Which is interesting. This is actually useful. So like a lot of times I rely on Mikey to be capturing the wide. I'm free to then zone in and reference hunt basically.
Yeah.
So that's a huge part of it.
Hell yeah.
But in this clip, there's basically a second group is formed beside the main group that you first started talking to. I eventually have to swing around you and we kind of shift our positioning to open up the lane for these new guests that have arrived. And in this clip, you'll just keep an eye on Harry's body language. That's kind of the main guiding thing here. You'll see someone kind of point at something as a suggestion. Hey, rap about this bike company name on my bike, and I see you nod. I'm like, okay, Harry saw him do that. Yeah. He's probably not going to get to it right here, but I'm keeping that in my head, and it ends up being really useful to capture that reference smoothly right as you deliver the punchline, basically.
Hell yeah. All right, let's check this out.
Spit to inspire, I'm bringing the fire, I'm lifting you higher, just like the brand, I get you wired. I'ma wake you like the coffee, they pull up on the mics. As long as I can do my thing, I'll be loving my life. Yeah, every time I spit, the people know I do mad work. I'm blending patterns, something like the stripes of a plaid shirt. Mack be getting loose, I'm the freestyle measurer. I be doing better, bruh, I'm the lyrical predator. Read it off the back, off the head with all these raps. I be getting to the paper, y'all, I'm getting to the stack. I told you.
Yeah, dude. Woo! Fire, man. It's such a great example because when he points to Predator, you know that like he's just negotiating that with me in real time, but I'm not going to be able to rhyme with it right away because that's not how it works. I'm already committed to where I'm going in that moment. And then that's so funny how you pan to me. It's a subtle nod, but like you see me kind of like tell him like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah. It's like I read it.
Kind of made a little contract there with each other for a moment.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
But then I go plaid shirt and you knew like not to zoom on Predator yet. And it went to plaid shirt. And then, then when I say like, edit a shred, whatever I was using to set it up, that's when you're going down to Predator. You're like, okay, here we go. So that's what I mean. You're hearing through the setup punchline. And then right after that, panning up to the guy because you know he's going to be the one reacting. It's just such a dance, man. And it's just one of those things, too, where it's like, film Guerrilla Bars. Like if that's the skill, like, it's like, so what's one of the main things you do on the team? It's like, I film Guerrilla Bars. It's like, that is a drop down toggle list of like so many tiny skills that would be so difficult to teach, it would just take so much time to be like, well, first you have to understand setup punchline. You have to understand how he puts the freestyle together. You have to like, and all these different components, of like, the spidey sense that develops over time of knowing when somebody's reacting and when you should show them and when it's better to show the reference. And it's really impressive, man. It's really cool. And it's one of those things where it's like you really value those sort of long-term relationships where we've just been doing this for so long that it's like, we got a thing, man. We got a thing.
Yeah. Repetition pays off,
100%.
Really learning how to use like those motions as needed. So like when I'm panning back from plaid shirt, might as well hit Predator on the way. Before I head back to Mack, let me catch this reaction. Yeah. All of that's done as I come back to you,
Right, like,
right. Dude, it's so much fun.
Hell yeah, dude. I love it, man. I love it. Well, cool. That'll do it for fan questions this week. Y'all know the deal. HarryMackOfficial.com/FlowStatePod. Send us your questions. I love answering them, man. I really enjoy doing this. I also want to react to your freestyles. If you are an MC, rapper, freestyler, send us yourself doing your thing, man. I love reacting. Every time we do a solo pod, I react to somebody who's part of this ever-growing freestyle community. And it's such a beautiful thing that there are people all around the world flowing off the top of the dome, working on their craft, getting better. And I love hearing from you guys. So same website, harrymackofficial.com/flowstatepod. We have one this week that comes from Jesse L. Jesse also included a question to me, which we'll get to, but let's just run the freestyle and hear what we got. This one is audio only, by the way, so we're going to listen. We're going to listen and imagine.
Everybody wanna tell you what to do, how to do it, how to do it, how to do it, but you never really wanna follow your own instincts until it feels like the addiction is gripping on you, and you just got to follow the road, and you just gotta do the thing that you can do. So you type in the code and you unlock yourself. You can take out your heart, you can put it on the shelf, or you can wear it on your sleeve, or you can put it under your foot and squish it just a little just to see if it would go kaput. But I know my heart could take a lot of pain, and I could take this shit and make it so insane. And if I put my name up in a rhyme, I feel like I might mean something for the long, long haul. I wanna make it in the historical record like the long, long haul. I wanna be remembered. I wanna be remembered. I think that was a hook, man. That means I gotta spit, and I gotta tie it all together in a narrative sense. I gotta find a fucking clarity to this. Suspense is what I'm feeling. How the fuck I'm dealing with all these little complex flows that I've been stealing off my motherfucking mental. And everybody wants to say the what the fucking went though. Everybody wanna know what you've been going through. Everything you're doing and you do it cool. But now I'm pulling up to work, so I gotta clock in quick. Oh wait, I'm early as shit. Guess I'm gonna sit up in the parking lot, and I'ma wait and I wait and I wait and I wait some more. Maybe I will mix this, even though I freestyled off the top like it's one hit. Tick, 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 boom. You can see me on the motherfucking list soon. Cause I'ma tear it all down. I'ma take it done. That's done.
All right, Jesse L. That was fun, man. That was really, really fun to listen to. What I enjoyed is I feel like this freestyle exemplified that concept that I've talked about a bit in the past of just keep going, man. Just keep on going. If you get stuck, if you don't know what the rhyming word is, just keep on vocalizing, man. If words continue coming out of your mouth, eventually you're going to find that rhyme, or eventually you're going to find that new path, or you're going to find that rhythm, or you're going to find that little fun delivery, like that little melodic shape that really works. And this was just such a good example of that. Because there were times where it was like, okay, like, I haven't heard a rhyme in a little while. I'm going to need to hear a rhyme pretty soon. Like, is he going to bring it back around? Is he going to regroup? And you did, man. You did. You consistently found your way back into the pocket, even when you started slipping out for a while, and you were weaving in and out, and there was some really cool little like hook moments, like you pointed out yourself. Like that sounded like a hook. Little repetitive things. That's something I talk about all the time too. When in doubt, repeat the last thing you said. Eventually, if you keep repeating it, your brain is gonna be like, all right, that's enough. Where else can we go? So that was really fun to hear. And I thought the vocal delivery at times was incredibly catchy and just great, man. I thought you had like a great energy. I felt a lot of personality jumping through the speakers, especially because there was no video here and it was all audio. A lot of people who are early in their journey, they might not have really been able to, come through with a lot of personality in the audio only medium, but I felt like you did. And so that was really, really fun. I would say, my feedback is I think, working on your technique more, working on just the basics that I talk about from a technical standpoint, the setup punchline thing, really drilling that, or just working on your rhyming couplets in general. I think taking control of where the rhyming words are going to land. I've talked about how like in a basic couplet, the rhyming word is typically going to land like on or near beat 4. So if you think of 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4, the rhyming words are kind of like landing right around there. Practice getting a grip on that, and really having control over that, so you can go for an extended time and say, dun, dun, because I'm ready to strike. I be getting busy when I'm rocking on the mic, giving all the party people just what they like, make them throw their hands up, make them stand and get hype. Everything's kind of landing in or near 4, and that might feel too repetitive to you or feel too boxed in, but I think having the ability to do that, having the ability to apply that level of control will help tighten up your whole thing. It'll help tighten up your whole approach so that you're not kind of spinning off the rails as often or having to repeat the same thing until you find a rhyme or having to pull it back and regroup. It'll give you that sort of control over the technique to where you can be like, nah, man, I'm putting it right here and I mean to put it right here. I think that would really go a long way for what you're doing. That would be my advice is work on your technique a little bit because you have the free flow vibe, you have that part, like the raw creativity of like surprising yourself or like, oh damn, this started going in a direction I didn't even see and I'm going with it. You have that. And so that's beautiful. And that will always be there for you. That's easy, right? It sounds to me that comes naturally to you, but the technique part is not going to come naturally necessarily. Like that's the stuff that you really got to work at. And once you have that, then that free flow thing is there to just elevate all of it and make it like so much more colorful and creative and unexpected and surprising for you and the audience. But yeah, man, really fun to hear you. And just real quickly on the question you asked, how do you get through a line when your brain is pushing a word that rhymes but doesn't quite fit or might be offensive? Oh, snap. Yeah, really good question, man. Well, everything I said already, actually, working on the technique. Because the whole reason to work on technique is to have facility and to have control over what you're doing while you're freestyling. In the beginning, you don't really have any control over it. So you're just almost a victim to the rhyming words that emerge in your mind. You have to go with them, whether you want to or not. And like you say, that can force you to say things that are just kind of weird, that you don't agree with, or in the worst case, things that are offensive. Now, I would say don't ever say anything offensive that you don't believe in. It'd be better just to leave an empty bar, and regroup. So that's one way to get through it. And the other thing is, and this is sort of like, at odds with what I said before. So I think very important to work on the technique and work on structures, basic structures, so you can own those basic structures. Very important. On the other side of that, it is a freestyle and there are no rules. So if you've set up a rhyme and the only thing that you can think of is something that's either going to be offensive or just something that you don't feel like saying or doesn't fit, like you said, you can always pivot mid-couplet or mid-bar or wherever you happen to find yourself so that you don't have to say that thing. Like if for some reason I had the thought to say orange elephant and I didn't want to say that for some reason, that's not offensive to my knowledge, but let's just say I don't want to say orange elephant. But I'm like, it's all I can think of. I said my freestyle's relevant. My story, I'm telling it. Over there, I can see somebody trying to be live with the free and MC, right? Okay, now I'm off on this whole other thing. So you never have to say anything while you're freestyling. Just remember that. Like you can always just go in a different direction. You're already using a lot of those techniques that I think would be helpful for this sort of pivot. You have this repetition thing that you sometimes go into. You have the ability to just kind of like weave around the beat and keep on letting words fall out of your mouth until a rhyme finds itself. So don't ever feel like you have to say something just because it rhymes, even at this stage, right? So that's kind of the counterbalance to my overall advice, which is drill the technique stuff, man. Really work on the fundamentals. But yeah, shout out to my boy, Jesse L.
Yeah.
Taking no L's on Flow State, episode 34. I love it.
Can't believe you said orange elephant on the pod, man.
My bad.
Go on, Harry.
I love all elephants, actually. Ever since we performed at that festival in Alabama at the zoo, and I had a moment with an elephant there. There's no time. We'll talk about it. That's how I get you coming back. Next episode, we'll talk about the Alabama elephant. But this has been awesome, man. First virtual Flow State. How do you feel?
Yeah, man. I dig it.
Hell yeah. Me as well. Well, I think it's time to close this thing out, man, the way we do best.
Can I get a freestyle?
Nah, man, sorry, I got to dip. Nah, yeah, of course, man. Let's do it. Let me drop some beats. Here we go, y'all. Flow State. Thanks for rocking with us. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, come on. Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2. Listen. Yeah. Okay. Mack flowing off the tip of the brain with spitting the flames, so people know the shit is insane. I face every challenger, my yin and yang slang about to balance you. Shouts to Jesse Itzler with the calendar, big ass poster on my wall, helping me maintain time awareness, my life evolves. Yeah, I'm setting all the important dates on it, so I can keep my schedule more honest, making sure I'm not overbooked, cause that will leave me shook. If I don't leave time to prepare, then I'll be cooked. Mack is known for just flowing off the head top. Gotta make sure that I kill it with the TED Talk. Preparing for the format, I'm never laying flat like a doormat. Overheads, I'm a sore at alarming speeds. Ain't no rapper that is harming me. Fully loaded with lyrics, the rap armory. Mack is going in, my heart and soul I'm showing them. Y'all know we gon' get it down. Everything I spit profound, I'ma make it happen. I've been rhyming so clear, I need one event that'll be defining my year. Every time I rock over these beats, it's astounding. For some people that be climbing to the peak of a mountain, maybe the peak of Everest or the peak of K2. When I speak, I'm the cleverest, bring the heat through to you. Yeah, Mack, I'm about to make it known. Y'all know I'm a rip. For other people, visiting a new country, taking a trip. For me, I'm still trying to figure what it'll be. Definitely time spent with my family, making sure I got time to spend with my daughter. Yeah, I'm trying to move through life like water. Be water, my friend Bruce Lee with philosophies. Long as I can maintain that, there ain't no stopping me. Most probably, I'ma have to change the future and defy current prophecies, so I can mold it into the life that I'm trying to see. Be the person I am, not who I'm trying to be. Or maybe reverse it, be who I'm trying to be while I'm aiming. Plenty instrumentals I be flaming. Yeah, rappers claiming, but it seems they couldn't back it up. Every time I spit off the mental, y'all know I'm acting up, forcing y'all to pack it up. On the radio they said, if you ain't invested yet, that whole dream is dead. If you didn't start ballet by 3, then honestly, who is it that you're trying to be? If you're 2 years old not playing violin, well, it's off limits for you, I guess you should try again. Fuck that, I couldn't disagree anymore. Whatever age you are, find something pure. There's people in their 50s, people in their 60s, picking up the trumpet first time, dreams of Dizzy Gillespie and Miles Davis, learning how to set themselves hella free while riding on the melody. And I encourage that, I support it to the fullest. Whatever your dream is, yo, now the time to pull it a little bit closer. We keep evolving through our lives. Yeah, it's necessary for us to survive. Art is not optional. Yeah, art is how human beings express the soul. Yeah, communicating on a level that's deeper. Cause sometimes when we using English, dog, I can't see ya. Lowest resolution when we have to convert what we seen in our brain into vocabulary words. When you say a sentence out loud, I think I'm feeling you, maybe I'm feeling you, but I don't know how to quite get there. Then suddenly you sing it on a mic, or you say it through the drum set and give it your whole life, or you say it through a painting that you put up on a canvas, and suddenly at a deeper level understanding is born, and it's formed a connection that's real. And when I perceive it, I'm deep in my feels, my hairs they be rising when cats improvising on stages, amazing. Y'all know we devising the plan to be connecting through this art that we do. I feel it pumping through my arteries. It's hard to be you, it's hard to be me, it's hard to be human, we all agree. So we need art to help push us through with my G. Creativity, let's set it free for the youngins and the middle ages and the old folks. Anybody trying to express themselves, I say it's so dope. Don't be thinking it's over for you when there ain't no hope, never that. I need a track so I can snap with fat raps, water bottles all up in my backpack, Guerrilla Bars stretching out mad long, improvising off the top and never doing bad songs. Everything be coming together, sounding clean. Me and Sam on the cam, rocking on the scene. Iconic on my man Mikey, we gon' get this shit done. Heart and soul where I'm spitting it from. Next beat, next beat, next beat, next beat, next beat. Yo, it's never discreet. Flow state, Sam on the cam, and Mack the MC. Let's go. Oh snap, we not done. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Water in the pack and a lot of snacks. Maybe a tent if we got a camp. Getting amped, all-nighter. Getting busy in the cypher. All type of lyrics, but I'm not a writer. Sometimes I am, but today I'm about to slam off the mental with no plan. Every flow weighs more than 100 grams. Maybe weighs 1,000, maybe weighs a milli. When rappers claim they on a similar level, you know that it kills me. Back be getting silly when you be rhyming with all of the rhythms. And every time that I'm rhyming, I be 20/20 with the vision. Yeah, but I'm futuristic. Maybe it's 30/30. Push it to the next century when they heard heard me. Next millennium, off the mental I be sending them lyrics in time and space. I'm bending them, crushing your endocrine, colder than winter wind when I start to spit. Find a rapper off the mental going hard like this. Who's part of this? Y'all know that my art is sick, my art is lit, contagious with it, rocking the stages with it, outrageous with it. Don't have to fill pages with it. I'm engaging with it, blazing this shit into the ether, into the atmosphere. You ain't have to fear, cause the Mack is here. Yeah, we about to take it there. Ain't no one as ill as me with spilling freeze. I feel like I'm sharing my own soliloquies. Feeling lost, feeling that anxiety, feeling at a great distance from the man I'm trying to be. What can I do to rearrange this vibe? I snap my sneakers on, then I go outside. Yeah, leaves me in shock how much joy can come from one simple walk. It be clearing my thoughts. Suddenly it's like my brain is wide open. Suddenly I was feeling broken, but now I feel like I'm coping. Yeah, it's so magical to be out there in nature. That shit is major. I keep it real, not no faker. Back just to hit 'em. We rockin' all year. The theme for 2026 is still fuck this fear. Yeah, to claim you checked it off your list is outrageous. Don't you know we only face fear in stages? This is something true, I can't exaggerate. Was scared to share my voice, nowadays scared to collaborate. After that, I'll probably be scared of getting old, or scared of going outside in the cold. Now that I'm on the East Coast, but fuck it, we gon' face that. And when I rhyme right up in the mental, I'm kicking the straight facts. Fear is necessary like art. Yeah, that's why we carry some of that in our heart. All we can do is essentially, incrementally learn to accept it, get past it, overcome it, learn to conquer it, then reject it. Yeah, that's what's expected. So let's keep moving, locked in. Daily we stay improving. Yeah, and y'all know that I be bleeding these rhymes while Sam on the cam is reading my mind. Put into like every reference by following said a punchline. Except that one time when it went with Buzz Lightyear instead of Souvenir. But honestly, who could have seen that truth so clear? It's impossible. Never know quite where I'ma go when I'm rocking flows. I don't even know. I probably need a mental hospital. Some days I'm just surprising myself. Yeah, when I'm improvising myself. Yeah, y'all know I be aspiring to higher levels. Never settle. Spitting fire like the home base of the devil. I'm letting it go when I'm right off at the top of the mental. The people know Mack and no go 8. Every time that I'm spitting, my eyes get to shifting. I'm in flow state. Damn. Hey yo, we about to find a pocket. Dropping logic. Predict the future like a prophet. My flow's the hottest. Shouts to all the up and coming freers who send me the videos. It's nice to hear and see ya. We working on the technique. Y'all know we about to dig deep into the craft. Never feel the wrath. Y'all know I'ma take it much further on the path. Mack is coming through with tracks I never clash. I kill the whole beat and rhyme, even acapella when I must. With this instrumental I trust, make I'll adjust when I'm doing this, spewing it right from the middle. Yeah, y'all know that this is pivotal when I spit the flow, hitting you from every angle up on the pod. Yeah, y'all know that we be channeling the gods. Comes down from the heavens, then it channels through my heart and comes out of my mouth in the form of this rhyme art. Thanks to all the listeners, thanks to all the viewers. It's a blessing and an honor just to sit and send it to you. Thank y'all for listening to the thoughts we share. Flow State, another episode, we keeping it rare. Let's go. Yeah. Thank y'all, we love you, peace.